Heya, cryptozens. Tonight's stories. Canada seeks measures to seize crypto. Kraken, Binance to continue service to Russians. U.S. SEC. No amnesty for self-reporting securities violations. The date is February 28th, 2022, and welcome back to the Crypto Overnighter. I'm your host, Nick. The cover model for this podcast is Tex, and together we take a nightly look at the crypto, NFT, and metaverse space and the industry that surrounds it. We bring you news stories on familiar topics. And keep in mind, nothing in this show should ever be considered financial advice. If you're new here and that you find that you're liking this show, subscribe and rate us. If you're on Spotify, you can rate us right from the app. So, give Tex and I 5 stars. It'll help other people find their way to this podcast. There's a lot to talk about, so let's get to it. I want to take a quick look at the Ukraine donations. Now, checking in on the website that we've been using, total donations is sitting at 15,000,000.68. That's from 24,783 contributions from 13,262 donors. And we're going to talk a bit tonight about the Kraken and Binance exchanges and the requests to freeze the Russians out of their accounts. Now, I don't know that there's a easy black and white answer to this. No matter which side you fall on, you have to acknowledge that there is the potential for damage to be done by that decision. And then decide whether it's worth it or not, because they're in a tough spot. Now, here's a different question. I've read that there's a lot of rubles being exchanged for Bitcoin. Is this the event? Is this a thing that's going to push mass adoption over the edge? Because if Russia effectively dumps the value of their economy onto the Bitcoin exchange, even at the rapidly reducing rate that the ruble can buy, that's a lot of market cap potentially to go up. Because this eventually is going to come to an end. Eventually, Russia will be allowed to rejoin the international community. What will their economy look like after years of sanctions where cryptocurrency might be the only relief valve? It's going to be really interesting to see. Now, before we get into tonight's stories, let's take a quick look at the markets. At the time of writing, the crypto market cap is $1.9 trillion. That's up 11.43% since we got together yesterday. The top 5 cryptos by market cap are Bitcoin up 14.4%, Ethereum up 11.85%, Tether, Binance Coin up 9.37%, and USDC. Global NFT market cap is just above 10 billion. The top 5 NFT collections by 24-hour volume on OpenSea are Meta Adventure Official up 408, Bored Apes down 24%, CryptoPunks down 75%, Huxley Comics up 899%, and Pixelmon Generation 1 up 189%. Keep in mind, some of these collections have very volatile prices, so do your own research. Canada seeks measures to seize crypto. Yeah, let that sink in. The Canadian government is considering permanently extending the emergency measures that let it monitor and seize crypto. Seriously? Trudeau and the Canadian government are what? Yeah, that's right. The Canadian government is considering exactly that, making provisions of the Emergencies Act permanent where it comes to cryptocurrencies. Chrystia Freeland is the Deputy Prime Minister of Canada. She said, quote, "The government will also bring forward legislation to provide these authorities to FINTRAC on a permanent basis." FINTRAC being Canada's financial intelligence unit. Now, that said, last Wednesday, Prime Minister Trudeau revoked the Emergency Act. So at this point, we don't know specifically what cryptocurrency-oriented rules that they were looking to make permanent under Canada's anti-terror laws. So, the cryptocurrency community, they're going to have something to say on the subject. Tesla CEO Elon Musk mocked Trudeau by comparing him to Hitler. Vitalik Buterin slammed Canada's crackdown on crypto. The CEOs of Coinbase and Kraken also made their opinions known. And that might have gotten those guys in trouble because they were in effect telling their customers to leave them. But we'll talk about those guys more later on. So yeah, when they told their customers to get their money off the exchanges and into private wallets, the Ontario Securities Commission flagged them to RCMP because they directed their customers to move to non-custodial wallets, which make them immune to financial censorship. That's what they were warning. Custodial wallets, like on an exchange, can and will give over financial information. They can and will freeze assets. They have no legal choice. That is, if they want to keep doing business in Canada. Justin Hartzman is the co-founder and CEO of CoinSmart. Now, CoinSmart is a Toronto-based crypto trading platform. He said, and this is kind of a longer one, he said, "It is unfortunate that the Emergency Economic Measures Order is indiscriminately targeting the whole cryptocurrency ecosystem. The addresses associated with this alert have been widely disseminated to the entire crypto community here in Canada and have reportedly been reported to the blockchain monitoring softwares that service the industry worldwide. We will cooperate with the OPP and the RCMP and fulfill our obligations, if any, under the Emergency Economic Measures Order." A representative for Swipe said, "Governments justify these restrictions by claiming they're acting in our interests. We think people know their interests. Crypto means there's no need for these middlemen anymore for people to act in their own interests, and as crypto adoption increases, these governments will need to invent some other story." And it looks like a similar situation might be showing up here in the United States. A couple of weeks ago, the FBI formed up a digital currency unit. Hopefully, they have a firmer grasp on what the different crypto-related services and products do so they don't embarrass themselves demanding companies freeze things they can't and provide information they don't possess. Right, Deputy PM Freeland? Kraken and Binance to continue service to Russians. Financial sanctions pile up against Russia, and much has been made on this show and elsewhere about the sanctions and Russia's getting cut off from the SWIFT network. Requests have been made by the government of Ukraine to lock down Russian crypto accounts. Binance and Kraken have said they will not comply. From Binance's side, despite the Russian government's condemnation on the world stage, they're not going to initiate a unilateral freeze on users' accounts. They said, quote, "We're not going to freeze millions of innocent users' accounts unilaterally. Crypto was meant to provide greater financial freedom for people across the globe." Binance made their decision after Ukrainian officials asked exchanges to crack down on Russian users. That desire being to keep crypto so that it's no longer a way for Russia to get around sanctions and from being cut off from the world's economy. And I want to also note that, yes, they did deny the request, but they also immediately turned around and donated like $10 million. So, you can see where their hearts lie. And it wasn't just Binance. Kraken was involved too. And keep in mind, we were just talking about Kraken because Kraken was involved in the Freedom Convoy controversy. And they famously told their customers to go elsewhere. At that point, the Canadian government was trying to break the back of this truckers' protest in Ottawa. And on the financial front, they sent out orders demanding exchanges not do business with a list of crypto wallets that the government supplied. Now, Jesse Powell, he's the CEO of Kraken. He said at the time that if legally mandated, he would absolutely comply with the federal government. At the time, when asked if Kraken would comply, he said, 100% yes, it has/will happen, and 100% yes, we will be forced to comply. If you are worried about it, don't keep your funds with any centralized regulated custodian. We cannot protect you. Get your coins cash out and only trade P2P. Which brings us to the present. Powell laid it out. He said, quote, "I understand the rationale for this request, but despite my deep respect for the Ukrainian people, Kraken cannot freeze the accounts of our Russian clients without a legal requirement to do so. Russians should be aware that such a requirement could be imminent." Now, from the other side of this, Ukraine's Deputy PM Mikhail Fedorov wants to use those accounts, or he wants to know what they are, because he announced a plan to reward individuals for this information. The information being the identify of accounts linked to Russian politicians. Now, his plan from there is to send those addresses to governments and organizations and exchanges, and then the hope from there being that those entities will do what they can to cut the politicians off from those funds. United States SEC. No amnesty for self-reporting securities violations. Honesty might be the best policy, but it won't get you off the hook where the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, is concerned. The SEC Enforcement Director said cryptocurrency companies will not receive amnesty for self-reporting potential violations. Gerber Gruwal is the SEC's director of the agency's enforcement division. He said the agency might view it more favorably if you come to them first with your potential violation. That said, there's no guarantee. You might get a reduced fine, you might not. There is no chance of getting totally off the hook. Gruwal said, quote, "Our message to crypto companies is not register your product and we'll just ignore the billions you have under management in this crypto lending product and your violations of security laws." Gruwal came to the SEC in July of 2021. Prior to that, he was at the New Jersey Attorney General's office. Last November, he pushed back against criticism against the SEC. That criticism was that the SEC would employ, quote, regulation by enforcement. He said, quote, "Let me be the first that we encourage and welcome the use of new technologies for capital formation. They have the potential to make our markets more efficient and dynamic and to increase access for investors. But, equally important, all securities offered or sold to U.S. investors, regardless of their form or name, must comply with the U.S. securities laws." This seems like it might be in opposition to the position of the SEC chair. Gary Gensler has repeatedly asked crypto firms to, quote, come in and talk. He wants them to come in and register their securities with the SEC. Gensler has said that many crypto firms and their products may fall under the regulatory purview of the SEC, that they need to be registered to ensure investors are protected. On the other hand, SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce, known by many in the space as Crypto Mom, has previously criticized the agency specifically because of the lack of regulatory clarity with respect to crypto firms and possible securities laws violations. And that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Do you have questions or comments about the show? Reach out and let us know. Send us an email, crypto.overnighter@gmail.com. That's crypto.overnighter@gmail.com. You can also find us on Forum and Twitter. Links to those platforms will be in the show notes. And please, if you could, subscribe, like, share, comment, and review the podcast. It would really help Tex and I out, and would also help other people find their way here. So getting the word out there helps them and us. Oh, and give Crypto in 5 Minutes a listen. We're up to 30 educational videos and counting. 5 minutes to explain one concept in crypto. And as always, may peace reign.